Are you a lifelong fan of General Hospital?
Are you a new fan who wants to know more about the history of the show?
Do you enjoy talking about the show with others?
Do you find yourself yelling at the TV?
Is your self-care an hour a day in Port Charles?
If so, we invite you to join hosts
Amanda Kimmel
and Shannon Coach at the place where all the hidden conversations take place and secrets are revealed.
Meet us at Pier 54,
a General Hospital fan podcast.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to the Port Charles 411. Today, you are going to hear it. I don't know. It might wind up being a two-parter. Depends on how the editing goes.
Right.
And I'm not going to fix this part. But we talked with Lydia Look for almost 2 hours about everything.
And could have gone on for like another 4.
Easily. So we will definitely talk to her again.
Yes, so awesome.
I don't even know what to say before. So we'll just go into it. And we'll just talk about it after?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay. So enjoy our chat with Lydia Look.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
Well, which one is Amanda and which one's Shannon?
I'm Amanda.
And I'm Shannon.
Hello, ladies.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Now, just checking, is there an audio delay at all?
Nope, we're good.
Fabulous. And is everything good? I mean, I'm in a new space, so I'm a little, I'm still kind of figuring it out.
Yeah. No, I think you're good. Yep. Pictures coming through clear.
Fantastic.
Everything's great. Yeah. And thank you so much for coordinating. I know that we're used to doing the time zone, but when you get past 12 hours, it starts to get a little bit more.
Yeah, it's a little loopy. I'm actually 16 hours ahead of you, so that's quite a bit. And thank you, because I know it's pretty late where you're at. You're at the East Coast, right?
It's only 8:00. Yeah.
Very cool.
Not too bad. I'm the early bird. She'll be up until like 3:00 in the morning. I'm like, it's 10:00. It's bedtime.
You're like me. I'm in the soap operas. Like, we kind of get up at 4. Well, actually at 3:30, and then we kind of get there by about 5 or 6, 5:30 and 6. So, and then when you get there, you kind of have like, you can't be like half awake, because there's like a million things happening, right? So you gotta kind of like hit the ground running. So I try to get up, like if my call time's at 6, I make sure I'm up like at 3:30, so I get my hit around really well, and then I hit the ground running, because it's like, rah! It's like a rat. It's like, ah! Yeah. So ladies, I actually listened to a couple of your podcasts, and I find it like you guys have such interesting things to say. And I really have to catch up with you guys, because you're like, wow, you guys are just like, you hit the ground running too. And you're like, bah, 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 and I'm like, whoa. So it's like, yeah. So I've been listening in, and good stuff, man.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm not gonna cry.
Don't cry. Shannon likes to cry.
No, I mean, I listened, I haven't listened to all of them, but I caught a couple of the latest ones, and I've been listening in. So you guys really know your stuff, which is really great. I have to keep up with you guys, because I'm like a newbie listening in. And, you guys are just like your shorthand that you have with each other with the stuff.
We've been
just
friends
amazing.
for over 10 years. So I think that, and that's actually how we kind of started the podcast, was we would be talking around other people, and other people were like, you guys sound crazy. And so we're like, we need to get this out there. And more people are like us than
there's a lot of crazy General Hospital fans.
Yeah. So can you guys tell me a little bit about yourselves? Like, did you guys meet because you're like crazy GH fans, or like how did that happen?
Would you like to share our origin story?
I will share. Our daughters were both in Girl Scouts together. And so
Lovely.
Whenever they were, off with the troop leaders, we would just kind of talk about what was going on. And I don't even know how it happened. Just one day she happened to say something about needing to catch up on General Hospital. And I was like, oh my gosh, I watched that too. And then it went on from there. So.
Well, that's amazing. What better way than to bond over, campfire, marshmallows. But I have to tell you, I was fired from the Girl Scouts in Asia.
No.
Yeah.
Fired from Girl Scouts.
Well, I wouldn't say I was fired, but I gracefully exited. Actually, I'll rephrase that.
Okay.
I wasn't Girl Scout material. When they asked me to go right, I would go left. And then they'd be like, girl, And growing up in Asia, you got to really like toe the line. There's no room for individuality or any kind of, special skills or whatever. If they ask you to go right, you go right. So I was the girl always going left. And they're like, girl, are you okay? Like at first they thought I was special needs, or, I needed special help, but then they found out that wasn't it. And so they couldn't really place me. And there is no room in Asia for being different. So I tried the Girl Scouts, and I just, I didn't make it, sad to
And
say.
that's really a shame, because at least here in America, I mean, they have a variety of different badges that the girls can earn on their own because of their specific interests
No
and everything.
way.
Yeah.
No way. I never got that far. I think I went for like the first week of like, they call it orientation, where you meet. And they were just like, girl, I think you should just, try something else. It's not for you. And I was like, like,
So what was it like growing up in that type of atmosphere, not being able to really, and especially, working
yeah.
in the arts?
I have to say I was very lucky. I had a mother who was who didn't toe the line, and she was very different, like me.
Okay.
She was always she was the one always going left when people asked her to go right. And I also think it was this particular skill that actually really saved her life, because she was a post-World War II baby. And back
Okay.
then, they had to go through the Japanese occupation in Singapore. And that was, if you know anything about it, it was
Yeah.
really dreadful. Like, all the men were rounded up and shot. All the girls were raped. It didn't matter if you were a little. Oh, is this getting a bit dark for General
No,
Hospital?
you're
You
no,
said
you're
that.
totally fine. No.
Yeah, because in World War II, Singapore was a British colony, and when the Japanese started World War II, the British left us. They just said, "Bye, you're on your own." Sorry for any of my English friends who are listening in, but this is really true. This is what happened in the war. They just left. And all of my relatives worked for the Red Cross. They were British, they worked for the British, right? And so it was a really terrible time for my family. Like they rounded all the men up, they shot them. And the women, my God, I mean, my mom was like, I think she was maybe almost 9 at that time, and she was a very beautiful girl. So what my grandmother did was she rounded up all the women in the household and shaved their heads to make them look like little boys, so that they wouldn't get raped. Because all the girls were just getting raped. It didn't matter if you were a kid or not. It was really a crazy time. People were just, it was an awful time. And let me know if we're getting too dark, because we're, going to soap opera.
It's your
We can
history.
stop
It's your
this.
story. That's what we like to hear,
So, well, this is, my forefathers, so my mother was a World War II baby, and she was, I think maybe that had something to do with it too. She was always different. She found a different way to survive, and she was a really bright spark as well, and she was I wouldn't say a failed, she wanted to be an actress so bad, but she was one of many, many children in her family. And back at that time, it was a real patriarchal society where they only let the boys go to school and the girls never had an opportunity. And she was the brightest one in her family as well. But, they would, she really, I mean, I think later on in her life, she did a Mensa test and she was like, super smart. Yeah, but she never, so she found her way into, it was the Red Cross that saved her life as well. So, it's not all bad with the English. So after the war, she grew up and then she joined nursing, and back then it was Red Cross with the, white hats and the flying nuns. And so she became a nurse. And that's the story. She talked about it in Maurice's show, State of Mind. My mom and dad met in the hospital. It was a general hospital sort of romance. He was a doctor, a young houseman. We called him houseman, like a doctor in training. And my mom was, she was a year and a half older than him. And, she was like the, really sexy nurse, she was like Bobby, I think, in like General Hospital. So my dad was like, whoa, who is this chick? And they were just like, so, they had a very happy ending from then. Yeah.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
And that's probably why she fought so hard, though, for you to be able to pursue the arts, because she wasn't able to have that opportunity and she wanted to make sure that you did.
Absolutely. And she was the mother that was constantly being called into school by the principal, right? And the principal would say, oh my God, Lydia, like, how do you manage her at home? We'll ask her to do something and then she'll just do the opposite. And then my mom would say something, and I still would remember back then as like a little kid, she'll say something like, she'll come in and she was really fabulous looking. She drove like a little yellow Beetle with a convertible thing, and she had that Central Pace scarf. She was really fabulous. And she'll come into the principal's office, and she would, drop her keys on the table, and she'd be very dramatic. She'll just, what did you call me in for? And then they'll say, oh, Lydia's misbehaving. We told her to do this, but then she told the other kids to do that, and they followed her. And then my mom would say, I remember when she took her Central Pace scarf off and she flung her hand, she was like, you called me in for this? And it was like, oh, like totally like just on my side the entire time. So that was really fab.
That's wonderful.
That is.
Yeah. And she was like my great defender from like the age of 6 to like, I was constantly being called in, and she would constantly say things. And I still remember there was once I was called in because I was doing professional theater outside. And the principal wanted to ask my mother why I was spending time doing professional theater outside, where I should be working with amateur dramatics in school. And my mom came in. I remember her saying to her, oh my God, she's just let them have it. She said, you're completely wasting my time. She said, I'm a professional. I have lives to save. Lydia has a professional audience outside that's waiting to see her. And this is what you call me in for? Get your act together. And then she'll kiss me on both sides of the cheek, which is really like no in Asia, because we don't do any kind of, kissing or hand holding, or, and she'd just do it because she watched a lot of soap operas and she was really into American TV, and she'd kiss me twice, not once, but twice, very European. And she'll be like, go girl. And then she'll just like, call me if you need anything. Of course, there was no such thing as calling back then. It was like a payphone, but she'd be really dramatic. She'll like, call me. And then she'll give me 10 cents, which is the money you use to, call somebody. And she'll give me a 10 cents. She'll call me if you need anything. And she'll just, she'll like get out. And I'll be like, wow, here we go. And then, the teachers would be like, what the hell just happened?
You met mom.
So I had I had a protector, which I'm very grateful for, which is the other reason why I'm back here in Singapore, because my mom's now very, very old.
Okay.
And she's not doing very well, so every year I just, really, really cherish this little time. Every year, I think it's this year, this is it, I still get another year. And, so yeah, that's why I'm here,
I'm sorry to hear that she's not doing very well, but that's wonderful that you're able to, because I know you guys get a lot of time off in chunks. So you work real hard, but then you get weeks off. So that's nice that you're able to.
And they've been really good. Actually, I've taken more than my chunk. When it's a chunk, it's basically 3 weeks, but I go off like for 2 months. And Frank is really sweet. He's like, okay.
Yeah.
He's like, you again. Okay. Yeah. So I'm incredibly lucky. I mean, I can't think of another set that I'd rather be at right now, to be honest with you. I mean, yeah, there's primetime sets, and, you make a lot more money, you work a lot less, I've been there, but I'm really loving my time here at GH. It's, believe everything you hear. I haven't really experienced any, they talk about bitchery on set, or there's been none for me, man. I mean, I've been, every person that I've met so far, and I've not met everybody, I've only met, been meeting the ones that I've worked with, right? And who I've worked with. They've been incredibly supportive, especially the women. And so are the men, actually. I shouldn't say just the women. I think everybody,
But I think that it's important that the women get along, because we're not going to get like into the naming names or anything, but there's like 2 actresses in a storyline right now that their characters hate each other.
Yeah.
And they're getting attacked online.
Oh yeah. I'm sure you've heard
horribly.
me speak my mind.
And
I
guys power together behind the scenes is nice to see, because it's like, no, remember, they're friends. They're hanging out and having lunch together.
It's ridiculous, really. I mean, I think there are rules to everything. If you're gonna bring out an actor's name, you're talking about an actor. You're not talking about the role she's playing.
Right.
Yes.
If you're saying you're gonna attack, the character's name out in public, that's something else. I get you. Some people take their soaps very seriously. And I really get it, because I think for my mom, it was like a mode of survival back then, because life was really hard. So, her soap operas back then were her thing, to like live her fabulous life. So I get it when I'm sure she and her nurses, and I'm sure back then they didn't have any social media, but I'm sure they spoke their mind like, I'd like to slap that BIT, whatever,
Right.
or strangle that guy, whatever,
Yeah.
right? But please, everybody, our dear friends out there, our dear fans and friends, I'd like to really say to you guys, the actors and actresses on GH are human beings, After we leave the set, we're who we are. We're not our characters. Please do not confuse our characters with us.
Right. Like you're not walking around blowing up limos.
Oh, yeah. And chemically castrating people, right?
Right. Yeah, you're not doing that.
I love Selena. I believe that part of Selena exists in me, and I love it.
It sounds like she takes on a lot of your mother's characteristics.
You're very, very astute in that. That's completely true. I think, a lot of my modeling of Selena is based on my mother. Yeah. I have Selena too in me, a lot of it. But, I'm Lydia at the end of the day, and Lydia is not Selena, Yeah. So in reference to what you're talking about with, please, my dear friends and fans, do not confuse our characters with, ourselves. Everybody I've met on the GH set, they've just been amazing, as people. I've gotten so much support, from my first scene with Laura, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've told this story, I think. I don't know if Maurice, it didn't come out in the State of Mind thing, but
no,
she was completely looking out for me. I was so new on the show, I was shaking every time because we moved really fast on the set. And I'm an experienced actress. I've gone through a lot, but nothing like the soap set, man. We're like, it's like, you get one take and one rehearsal. Basically, that's it, right? That's unheard of, in any other. I've never experienced that before. I'm pretty quick, but this is like taking it on a whole other level. So like, I remember her kindness. She was so kind to me. I was in that scene with her and Steve Burton, who's another complete supporter and sweetheart. I have a Steve Burton story for you. He's an amazing guy. So I was in the limo with them. I think it was the scene where I was telling them, it was like I was telling them about the treachery of Novak and Buscema. Remember?
Mhm.
I think that was very early on, like a year and a half ago, when I first started to really come on the show.
Mhm.
And Laura, she was holding the scene. She had tons of dialogue, right? But here she was. I remembered her sitting in the limo, so composed and beautiful, and she was just, flipping, just doing her thing. And I was like remembering going into the limo, going, "Wow, one day I can just grow up and be like Laura, right?" Just sitting there, owning the space, right? I don't think I was really owning my space. And I was like, everybody could see I was like, I'm different when the cameras are not rolling and when the cameras are rolling. So I was like, I was looking for my camera. I was looking for the lights. I was looking for my AD who was supposed to tell me what I was doing. I was completely new, even though I'd come on once a year for the mom meetings. But, once a year is nothing.
Once
You
you're
come in,
sitting
you
at a
think
table nodding is totally different
exactly. Exactly. You're not hitting anything, all right? You're not hitting a mark or anything. You're like, so I was like, oh my God, there's like so much going on. I was in a car. And I remember she was like so beautiful sitting there, so calm. And the calm is really important when you're working with somebody who's new on the set, because, they're like, I was like a deer in the headlights. I was trying not to show it. But because I know my energy affects everything else. So I was trying to keep it in. But, any other actor who's worth their salt would know I was shaking. So I went in the car and I was like, oh my God, I was doing, all of that. And I was completely not aware of my appearance at all. I never am. Okay, to be honest, you think that actresses are worried about how we look. Girl, we're just worried about getting all the lines out, hitting the mark, not screwing up other people's, thing. The last thing we're thinking about, at least for me, is how I look. All right. I have a wonderful team who takes care of that. My hair and makeup.
Yeah, they're
girls
looking out for
so,
you. They're looking to make sure your hair's staying in place and everything.
They
you don't have to
are
worry about that.
incredible. They are incredible. But having said that, they're incredible. There's so much stuff going on. Sometimes you miss stuff, right? There's, a lot going on. And I'm sure they're focused that they were on other things, a lot of bigger things. So I was sitting in the car next to Laura, and she needn't have done that because, it's nothing to do with her, but she was looking out for me, which means she was looking out for the entire show. She noticed I had a piece of gum stuck in my hair. like a white thing that looked like I had an icicle or something. I actually didn't see what it was, so don't quote me on that.
Okay.
But apparently I had something stuck in my hand. Maybe I was going up the stairs and a piece of I don't know, styrofoam got stuck in my hair. I mean, but it wasn't supposed to be there.
Mhm.
But no one else saw it because and I wouldn't blame my team, the hair and makeup people, because I was actually, it was away from them. It was like right next to Laura. Okay,
Mhm.
only Laura. And she stopped what she was doing, and she called everybody up, and she was like, "Hey, there's something, in Lydia's hair. We need to fix that." And I was like, I remember thinking at that moment, I was like, I was so overwhelmed. I wanted to cry. Here, this number one, our leading lady. She is the leading lady of General Hospital. There are several, but she's one of them, right? And she was looking out for me, little old me who had like 3 lines in the car, probably, or 5 lines. And she
Yeah.
made sure everybody came and fixed it. And, she didn't do it in such a way like she was, like she was doing it in a completely beautiful, sisterly way, looking out for me. So I want to tell everybody out there, the actresses that play the roles that they play aren't who they are in real life. And I'm saying that, truthfully. I didn't know her. I only met her maybe 2 other times. And usually she'll come into the mob meeting and then I'll have words with her and we'll do the girl thing, and we weren't, I certainly wasn't a friend, or I was just somebody she met. We were professionals working together, but she was so kind. So that's my Laura Wright story. She was looking out for me. I mean, she didn't have to do that. She was in her own space. She was getting ready to shoot her scene. That was complete generosity on her part. So she was so generous to me and to the show. She was looking out for everyone, Yeah.
So did you know in the fall, because it was it 21 or 22? I think when you started to get more, oh my gosh, it was 21 because it was Jason and Carly.
Yeah, it was like December, I think, November.
Because you've been on, like you said, once a year for years.
Yeah.
But
hey, and you know what? It's not
did
just
you
once
know
a year.
when
It was like 3 years in a row, and then they stopped the mob meeting for a year or 2.
Right.
Yeah, something like that.
So did you know when you were coming back that time that it was going to be to stay, or?
I have to tell you, Amanda and Shannon, I'm always the last to know anything. You guys probably know it before I do. I didn't know, and to be honest with you, when I was handed the script for my first big mob meeting, the one where I was telling Jason, it was the scene between me and Steve Burton, where I had like maybe 25 pages of dialogue. Usually I had 5 lines, right? So I thought I was going in for a 5-line thing, right? And then I got the script a couple days before the thing, and I was like, my eyes popped out on my head, and I was like, what the hell's going on here? And I panicked a little bit because, I've done a lot of stage and I'm no stranger to a lot of dialogue, but a couple of days for 25 pages was a lot for me then, because, I wasn't used to the rigmarole of how they did it. I'm usually a guest star on a primetime show where I get like, I don't know, 4 pages and I have 3 weeks, or like, and I'm looking at it doing, trying to like figure out like whatever, but so I looked at it and I was like, I think I almost cried actually. Not from fear, but like of joy. Like, oh my God, I actually have a juicy little, and it was a really juicy scene. It was me telling Jason that, Carly and Jason had, this is the end for them. If they don't get married, blah, 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 whatever it is, right? And I was like, this is a scene to die for. And I was completely overjoyed, and I was like, and I didn't know, I thought, hey, I'm going to come in and do this, and who knows what's going to happen. I might get blown up, who knows, right? So I thought maybe, this was a swan song for me, and they were being really nice, giving me one juicy scene so that, I could go out with a bang or something, or maybe Jason would shoot me. I mean, I don't know, right? Yeah, and the woos weren't really big back then, until I came on. They kind of died after the 90s or the 80s, right?
Yeah.
After,
are you familiar with that storyline?
I've become familiar with it. I've gone back to look at it because of the great fans that I've had. They post stuff and they'll tell me, Lydia, go watch this, or Lydia, do that. And I'm like, hey, okay.
We
and I've been
did
doing
do
my
a
own.
4-part series.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah. Thanks to you guys. I checked it out too.
Oh, you did?
Oh,
Okay.
good.
I was going to say, feel free to.
Yeah. You guys did a great job. Like I rely on all you guys for like my tutorials on GH. because I'm a newbie, even though my dad was a hardcore GH fan.
Mm.
But yeah, there's a very cute story with that too, and I've told it on Maurice's show. Do you want me to share that? I mean, I don't know
If you'd like to, I heard it, but there might be some people who didn't watch State of Mind that.
Well, if we have time later on, I'm sure there are
Okay.
questions you'd like to ask me. I've been just blabbering on, so
No,
I'll let you
we
ask me
love-
more questions.
We love whenever you just feel free to share your story.
Yeah,
That's
so
more-
ask me some questions.
Go ahead.
Well, I guess just kind of staying on topic because I don't think we knew for sure that you were staying, but your character's name was originally Nina. And as soon as they switched it to Selena, we're like, she is staying because they are making way too much of an effort to make sure everyone knows her name is Selena.
Oh my God. I mean, I was such a newbie back then. I mean, when I was told I was going to be Selena, I didn't have that. I didn't feel that way. I didn't know that, because I really don't know anything about soaps. Because in a primetime show, if they give you a first name, it doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? So I thought, oh, okay, there's a Nina, so I'm going to be Selena, and I love Selena, by the way. I love it. I mean, I like Nina, but I love Selena. It's real. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm Selena now with an I, and I was like, okay. And they didn't tell me anything. They didn't say like, oh, you're Selena now, so you're going to get more episodes. Hell no, that didn't happen. It was like, you're Selena, that's your name. So I'm like, okay, thank you. And and I was like very happy about it, but no, and I really didn't have any expectations. I just thought maybe I'd get like a juicier scenes because I have a first name, but it doesn't mean that I'd be on a lot,
Yeah.
I really didn't know anything, and I'm always the last to know. Even my agent doesn't know anything. And then when the traction, like when we started to go a little bit more, and when I was invited to come to the photo shoots, that's when I began to think, hey, I think I might be coming on more. I think they like me, And to be honest with you, you never know as an actor when's your last, gig over there. Every day is a new gig for you. You have to try your best, and you have to hit the ground running, and you have to, just really own it because there's no tomorrow if today isn't given. So I never have that mindset where I'm going and going, oh, I've got tomorrow and next week, and oh, if I don't do well today, I've got summer and fall and winter. No, I've got today, girls, that's it. And I got
the good news is in soaps, even if they kill you, you can come back.
Right.
That's true. That's true. I found that out. Yeah, I found that out in more ways than one. Except, of course, if they show you actually dying on screen, then you can't.
They can still come back.
No way. All right. Well, there you go. Yeah. Okay. Well,
Yes,
I'm hoping that won't happen to me anytime soon.
Right. We don't want them to kill you off at any time, but even if they do, someone may have stolen your body and frozen it and then bring you back later. Like, you really just don't know what they're going to do with someone.
I like that. I like that whole cryo thing.
That's a Cassadine thing.
Yeah.
So you'd have to get
Is that
connected
true?
with the Cassadine. Yep. Stavros Cassadine was frozen. And then they thawed him out. And he wreaked havoc.
Did he come back? He did. And then what happened to him?
He died again.
We'll see.
Quote died. Quote died again. So
Amazing.
yeah. Victor
Yay
Cassadine
for
has died
soaps.
twice. Yeah.
No way. Oh my God. I love
Yes.
working with Charles. He's so amazing. Yeah.
So you said that you haven't worked with everybody. Is there anyone, and that's the thing, like, I guess it blows our mind because we see everybody obviously on the TV. Is there anyone that you haven't worked with yet that you would like to work with?
I had one scene with her where we weren't really we were in the scene together, but we weren't really doing lines together. I just said, what's happening here? I would love to get a juicy little scene or storyline with Ava, with Maura West.
Yes.
I'm just enamored by Maura West. I think she's so amazing as an actress. I mean, as an actor, she makes me go, I see her on screen and I go, I would love to, I mean, of course, in my fantasy, Ava and Selena should join forces.
Well, she
or
was,
even better,
she
we should
left
be
the mob.
lovers.
Yes.
We should be lovers. I think Selena should be a lover to everyone, not just men. I mean, I'm saying it, and that's just for me, guys. It has nothing to do with General Hospital
I wasn't
or
thinking
the
about that.
writers.
Yeah.
But I think Selena is, she's fly.
Yeah.
I think she's a lover to many, and she's a killer to many too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I wouldn't
Very
discount the
interesting.
girls. Wouldn't
Yeah.
discount the girls
Yeah.
from her palette. I think
Right.
everyone is up for grabs. And
I
if
would-
Dr. Westbourne Britt had stayed on the show, I was hoping actually there would be a little bit of something going on. Because actually, even though I kind of like made her sit in her corner and dished it out to her, I think that was very powerful. On the flip side of hate, and I wouldn't say Selena hated Britt, but she definitely was. She definitely didn't, see her as the same as the other women because there was a lot going on with Britt. She was, the daughter of look who she's the daughter of, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Faison and Liesel, two baddies, right? So I think she knew who this girl was. And I think if we had developed the story, this is just me talking, okay, nothing to do with
Yeah.
GH or the writers. An actor can fantasize, right? So
Yeah.
my fantasy was I would actually love to see Britt and Selena get it on, like, in more ways than one. Because, when you threaten somebody that way and you put them in a corner, it's
Yeah.
a lovely trajectory if they end up being besties or end up being lovers.
Mhm.
And that
it's
happens
totally
a lot in the mob
unexpected.
stories.
Right.
It
Yeah.
does. Well, I mean,
Mm.
she's gone now, but
Yeah.
Ava used to be
yeah.
part of the mob and she got out. And her sister is head of the Jerome family now. But if Olivia were to come back, hint, hint, writers, Ava might have to partner up with you to know how to take her down.
Wait a minute, girls. Are you talking about this actress called the character called Faith Roscoe?
Oh my
who
God, I
she
love
is?
her.
No, is she the Jerome character you're talking about, or is that somebody
not-
else? No, that's somebody
actually
else.
have-
Okay,
You just got way
because I
too
actually
excited.
I see that on my Twitter all the time. Like, oh, Selena and Faith Roscoe need to like get it on, and I'm
Oh,
like,
you guys
who's
would be the
Faith?
best of friends. Faith
And
Roscoe.
I've seen her. I've seen her. I mean, like on screen, and I go,
Yeah.
oh yeah, she's
You
she's
are
fly.
You are the closest. She's dead, supposedly.
Oh, but okay.
But you are the closest. Well, Selena is the closest to Faith. So like Olivia Jerome is Ava Jerome's sister, and she has taken over the mob family. Like she's the head, but she's in Pentonville. So she's,
Okay.
I mean, obviously she can do things, but she's not doing much. And then Claudia Zaccara wanted to be the head of the Zaccara family, and she never made it, and she's dead. So that's out. Jennifer Smith is head of the Smith family. I did the research before this. I didn't just know this.
You're amazing, and I'm sorry if I sound so ignorant, but is
No,
Faith
you're
Roscoe
fine.
the actress that plays Olivia Jerome,
No.
or she's another character?
She's another character. I wrote
Okay,
notes.
okay. Oh, thank you so much. I feel so,
But
yeah.
there's not very many women mobsters, so there's only so Ava, Olivia, Claudia, then Jennifer Smith, and then Faith Roscoe took over the Roscoe family after Sonny killed her husband.
Right.
But she was I think she was the first one to really challenge Sonny.
Mhm.
And your character is doing kind of the same.
Mm.
And she was very, like, Selena's very quiet. There's the power in her quiet. And that is exactly how Faith was. And
Ooh.
she was, I don't know why. I love her.
No,
But
and so do the fans, because they
Yeah.
keep saying that. They keep bringing her name up, like in the tweets. Like whenever I come on and threaten somebody, they'll be like,
Mhm.
"Oh my God, that reminds me of Faith Roscoe, badass." And I'm like, "Oh yeah." And then I go look at who plays Faith Roscoe. I try to do my homework, right? Try to keep up with the Joneses, right? So I go and look, but it's amazing. I'm learning so much from you two, from the fans, from especially the fans. I mean, I've never met fans like that in my life as General Hospital fans. You guys are intense. I mean, like you guys, they love the show and they know everything about the show. And I don't take that lightly. I actually feel very grateful because nowhere have I seen fandom like that ever. Nowhere. Usually they're like, okay, whatever. Like, but this is for real, man. They're like, and they get really into it, and when they have their favorites, they're like, which is why, we're bringing up the whole thing. I don't mean to be mean or come down hard on the fans, the super fans. I totally get it when you guys are rooting for your favorite, But again, I just want to say, please be kind. If you're going to say something about your favorite, make sure you tag, the character's name and not the actress's name. Because,
Right.
there's a big difference.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
the actor and the actress might like to walk down the street without having to look behind their back, like somebody's going to
Mhm.
attack them. It's a crazy world right now.
Yeah.
You got to really be careful, right? But if you say, I'm talking to the fans right now, I hate so and so, this character, I want to, do something to them when I see them, that's different. Then I'd be
Right.
like, oh, okay, and I'll bring myself as an example. Okay, if somebody wants to, have a big fat cat fight with Selena, I get it. I'm sure some people are like, whoa, Selena, you're a real, wow, right? I'd like to wow with you. I'll be like, okay, girl, let's do it. Let's find a time on the GH imaginary set or whatever, and we'll have it. I'm down for it, But
Yep.
please, the actor isn't the character, and the character isn't the actor. So,
Right.
Be mindful of that, because, I feel very protective of my fellow actors, because they're just such great people, and they don't deserve coming to set and pouring their hearts out, and doing their thing, and then, getting the jam for it afterwards as themselves. They're just playing a role,
Right.
And
Right.
if we have that
Yeah.
strong of a reaction, they're doing a great job then.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Exactly. That's what I said. They're making
personally-
the magic happen, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. If you hate the character that much, it just shows what an amazing actor, actress it is. Because I personally do not like Nina. Anyone that listens to the show knows I do not like her. But that is just a testament
That's
to how
Nina.
wonderful,
Yeah.
right, Cynthia's doing with the character. Because if she was just
Exactly.
kind of, I'd be like, oh, you're just dumb, go away.
Yeah, you'd be like, you wouldn't even talk about it, right?
Right.
You wouldn't be like, why would you talk about it? You talk about it because it's exciting, which means the
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
person's doing their job, rubbing you up
Exactly.
the wrong way. I'm sure there are people who, absolutely detest me. My character on the show, and I'm totally okay with that. That means I'm doing my job, because I don't do the best things on the show. I'd like to think that I'd like to, in my mind, I'm hoping that the trajectory of Selena would be like, she'd be more of a Robin Hood character, whereby and I think I had a little bit of that with helping Holly out and helping
Yes.
Sasha out when I came in and I told her, the marvelous Morgan Fairchild, to go eat caca. I felt so bad doing that, because I absolutely adore her, but I can see where the writers are going with that, and I'm so appreciative for that, because that gives dimension to me. I'm not just coming in and ordering a hit, and that she does have a heart. She does understand, and I'd like to think Selena is a big champion of women, because she's had it
Yes.
hard. It'll be hard, I'm telling you, not just rising up in the mafia world, but in the Asian triad world, whereby patriarchy is like such a big thing. Women never even get to see beyond the kitchen,
Right.
in that kind of a world. You're like, go cook me some eggs, girl, and don't come out and speak when you're spoken to. I'm sure it's pretty much, like that in many parts of the world still.
Right.
So I'm so happy that, she's kind of breaking the mold for all of that. And I'd like to think that she has, more in her head than just, money.
Right. So here's a question that we don't know the answer to. Do you know what Miss Wu actually does? Like, Sunny will not handle drugs at all. And so, if someone's importing drugs, it's coming from a different member of the mob families. Do you know what Miss Wu's in charge of?
Yeah, in my mind, I can't say what the writers have told me. In my homework as Selena, what is Selena not in charge of? I'll tell you what
That's
Selena
true.
is not
I like
in charge
that. I like
of.
that.
Okay. Selena will do everything that will be profitable for her family. It's all about money at the end of the day. She is a mob boss, right? She is running a business, a corporation, actually, a really big corporation. What will she not do? I'd be very sad if one day I opened the script and it says I kill a baby or a child or a woman for money or whatever. I'd be really like, in fact,
I
don't know. Yeah, that would be really sad for me. Like I probably couldn't say anything about it. I tried to play it well, but I might be very disappointed if that happened, because I don't think she'd do anything. I think Selena does have a moral compass. but her moral compass is select, meaning it's not, it doesn't extend to everyone. And I think she's a lover of women, children, and the disenfranchised. I don't think she loves men quite that much. And that's not to say she wouldn't sleep with a man or whatever. I think she would. I think she doesn't. I think she's very mistrustful of men because she's been through a lot with men,
Right.
especially in her family, for the grab for power in the Wu family. That's just my backstory that I've given myself for Selena. I think she's had to succumb a lot in the Wu clan. I think she's had to get a few heads rolling, a few male heads rolling. And I think the males have been very cruel to her from her childhood all the way up. Maybe in my backstory, I think she's been through hell with men.
So that's why she's trying to control Brad so much, so that
Yeah,
she can make
I have
sure that
another thing
he's-
with Brad. Yeah,
Okay.
I have my whole other thing with Brad, but I don't know what the writers are going to do with it. But I think there's a lot going on with Brad. It's not as simple as you think it is. And I've been playing it that way anyway.
Mhm.
I've been using my backstory,
Yeah.
which I hopefully the audience will see, I mean, we'll get glimpses of it. I don't know, it's just in my mind as an actor, you always hope that whatever little, homework you infuse into your character comes true when you do it. But I think Selena loves Brad deeply.
Mhm.
And it goes back to the familial thing, she's family.
Yeah.
And family is very important and not just in the Asian culture. I'm sure it's important in every culture, but especially in an Asian culture, whereby we're not very demonstrative, right? Where we don't really we don't wear our hearts on our sleeves very much or anything. So like when you really like invest in somebody and you really love somebody, I think a lot of it goes very, very deep, because you don't talk about it. I think when you talk about something or you get to share something, it kind of brings it to light. But when you don't talk about it, it kind of stays in this dark place, right? And then it kind of just festers. So I think there's a lot of that going on with Brad. I have my own, and I don't want to say it outright because if I say it, then people will be like, oh my God. And they'll be like, oh, Brad is whatever. But
right.
I hope, this is what I hope. I hope that down the line you'll get to see who Brad really is and who Selena really, what the connection is. I hope they're going that way. My other hope is if the writers are listening in, and I think they do.
We are convinced that they do.
Yeah, I think they do. I mean, why wouldn't you, right? I mean, you want to know what people are talking about, right? I mean, it's nothing. I mean, it's really good to listen in. If the writers are listening in, I really, I think it's time now to bring in the Wu family. Like, really, I'd like them to develop, because I think that's the next step to go.
Mhm.
Yeah. And why Selena is who she is.
Right.
Why she's like that. Yeah.
What was it? 1986 was when the Asian Quarter storyline, because I was around when Robin came.
80s. Yeah.
And so your character would have been a child. So it explains why we didn't see her, because older sister, older brother are, they were the problem. Well, they weren't the problems, but they were at the forefront of the story. And it would be, and that's actually, we actually spoke with Perry in 2020, just coming out of
Pentonville,
right when the show started coming back on after the COVID break. And we talked to him about that because that's when Brad was still in jail. And we said, we're like, you should be meeting your family members. Probably there's a lot of them in there.
Right.
Absolutely. I agree. Yeah. Yeah. I was so glad to get him out of jail, man.
Yeah.
When I saw that scene, I was like, yeah, that's really cool. Brad's coming out, and, I think we did that scene first before we did that big scene. Yeah. Because of course we shoot everything in order and I was in the way. We had that scene and then I didn't know what was going to happen. Right. And then like a couple of days or like 2 weeks later, I got the script, the Metro Court scene where we come in with Brit, and I was like flaunting him around like he was mine. Right. And I was like, yeah, they're really going that direction. And I was so pleased. I was really, really pleased.
I think Selena was threatened by Brit to some degree because
she
was the only one.
Right.
I mean, I hope that showed.
Yeah.
I hope that showed. I was so jealous of her.
Yep.
Because, Brad loves Brit. And I was like, as Selena is like, there's only one woman in your life,
Right.
and
And Britt
that's
didn't
Aunt
back
Selena.
down.
Nope.
Everyone else was
Yeah, which
scared
is
of Selena, and Britt was like, "No, I'm
Nope.
not scared of you.
Of
I'm going to die
course.
anyway."
She's like, I am
Of
Faison's
course.
daughter. I'm not scared of anything.
Right.
Exactly, and I loved it. I love that she gave me no two wings. Like whenever
Right.
I threatened her, she'd be like, "Yeah, whatever." She'd laugh me off, and that made me even more pissed off as Selena.
Right.
I wouldn't
even
show
when-
it, but I'd be like, "Girl, I'd want to dig my nails into you." You know, like
Even when
she
she
was
gave her
so
the
unflappable.
passports, when she gave her
Yeah.
the passports and everything, I didn't get the impression that it was, oh, thank goodness, I'm finally getting rid of you. I took it as she was
helping.
genuinely helping, which goes
Yes.
back to what you're saying about how she's a supporter of women, you know, and I think that she saw in Britt,
Thank you.
it wasn't just
Yeah.
Britt leaving.
That was
it
in my
was,
mind, obviously,
Yeah.
when I did it, you know, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really didn't think at that point that she was really leaving too, you know. I mean, we always hope that, you know,
Mhm.
something else will happen, she'll come back. So I'd be like, so when I read that scene, I was like, oh, maybe she's just going to Iceland, but she'll come back next year when summer arrives, and then she'll be there. And I'll be like, yeah, okay. So I was
Right.
like, yeah, I did my usual, you know, Selena thing with her, but I hope it showed that, you know, I did care in a way. I mean, I cared that she wasn't around Brad so much, but I
Yes,
cared
right.
that, you know, she was still in the canvas.
we thought
on the
you were going to be like
canvas.
the go-between, like you would know where she was, so you could at least tell Brad she's safe.
Yes, that's what I got to, and I hope that shows. So thank you. Oh, I love listening to you talk about our show, because then I know what's working and what's not. Because you know, we never know, right? After it airs, we're like, oh, I wonder if they got that, or you know, if they saw what I was trying to do, you know. So thank you. Yeah. Thank
Our
you.
pleasure.
Yeah.
All right, I've been jabbering too much.
No, you're good. I don't know what else to ask. I asked a question. Go ahead. What else? You're the one that took notes. I don't take notes. I just wing it and figure whatever happens. So
You're like me. I'm the horrible, unprepared winger.
she's the one
Yeah.
that's always prepared with her notes and her spreadsheets, whatever.
You
and I'm just
need
like,
her, girl. You need her. I have a best friend
I
like that.
do.
Without her,
There's
I'd
a
be
reason.
dead.
Yes,
I'd be
you
like always
balance.
calling. Yeah, hey, you know, can I ask you? And she's like, girl, you should take your own notes. And I'm like, share your notes.
I shared my
You know.
homework with other people. I mean,
You're so great. You're a keeper. Can I
Yes,
keep you?
yes.
Because you know I need you.
well, it was just, I was thinking about it earlier when you were talking about your family's, like the forefathers' history and everything, because George
Mhm.
Takei has done a lot to bring about the information about the Japanese internment camps that's been lost in history.
Yes.
And he was actually
Yes.
on General Hospital, and he was Mr. DM. He died,
Yeah.
but he died off screen. I think, I can't remember now. I know we watched it, but I think that he just died by cyanide poisoning. So they could totally bring him back too.
Can I ask? Because I'm sorry, I know I've known that George was on the show, and I know
Uh-huh.
George. I mean, but was he a bad character or a good character on General? Was he somebody that worked with the Woos, or
He worked
I should
with
know
the
this. I'm
Woos,
sorry, but
I don't think he was bad. I think he was more of
Okay.
the person that got the information, but maybe didn't know entirely why he got all the information.
Right.
I got
like
it.
Go between,
But didn't know everything up here.
right. Just like a runner of information, but didn't have the full story to know.
Hey,
where it's going.
George, come back to the show. Hey, writers, George is available, I'm sure, and he's an amazing actor. I mean, that'd be
Yes.
really amazing. You know, talking about the characters in the General Hospital, I had the great fortune. One of my very, very first jobs when I came to Hollywood was on ER. You know, that medical show. I was just a guest star, but I was such a little young thing, you know. And the person who played my grandmother on the show was a staple on General Hospital. She's passed already. This wonderful lady. She's a stalwart in our Asian community. Her name is Beulah Kuo. And I think she played Lan. I mean, I can't remember what it was. She was that the lady that always, you know, an
Yes.
older lady.
The
Yeah.
one that helped Robin.
Yes.
Yes.
So she played my grandmother back in ER, and that's where I got to meet her. And now I'm just making all the dots. Like she was on GH, and now I'm on GH, and I think about her a lot when I come to the set, because you know I loved her. She was very kind to me when I did that guest star spot with her on ER. And you know, I didn't know anybody in LA. You know, I had no family, and I think we did that episode like in June, July, August, and then she invited me to her home for Thanksgiving.
Oh.
And I remember just thinking, wow, is everybody in Hollywood so nice? Boy, was I wrong. But but you know, I
Find
was
the
like,
nice
so I
things.
met her. Yeah. So I went, and you know, she was such a champion of mine. And I remember her saying to me, she said, you don't know this now. She said, but you're gonna work a lot. And I remember going, no. You know, I was just like, you know, I was like, no. You know, I still didn't know my head from my ass back then. So I was like, eh. And she was like, you're gonna work a lot. And I was like, and thank you, Beulah, because it's true, you
Yeah.
know. And I was like, you know, so she saw something in me. And, you know, I wish back then, I of course, I didn't know I was ever going to be on GH, but like, hey, that's another little connection. Like the same with my
Yeah.
dad, the GH connection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know.
And I think that's how a lot of us get into it. And I think that's probably where a lot of the passion comes from, because like my Grammy watched it. And so, and she would do the same thing, you know, that we would talk about it. And it's like, that's not how that used to be. It used to be blah, 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 blah. But it's, you know, it's generational, it
Yeah,
gets passed down. So
Right.
it's,
yeah.
you know, they're passionate about it. So we're passionate about it. And
Right.
Not just in America, man. I'm telling you, my dad was a hardcore GH watcher, and my dad never wanted me to be an actor. You know that. I said, in a nutshell, you know, he thought all actors were prostitutes or like, or worse, right? So he never ever encouraged any of that tomfoolery. My mom was the one secretly taking me out to like drama classes or, you know, to auditions. And, you know, before we get home, she'd be like, okay, I know we're not supposed to lie, but today we're going to tell a little white lie. Says, you know, you didn't go to, you know, acting class. We went to the supermarket. And I'd be like, okay. She said, you know, and I was really morally actually very torn because, you know, I grew up in a household where we didn't tell any lies. So I was like, I didn't know what to do. But she said, listen, it's acting. We'll just have to act. Like we went to supermarket. And I was like, just, do you want to go to acting class? And mom, yes. She's like, okay, then you'll have to say that because otherwise you ain't ever going to acting class. And I'm like, okay. So, you know, it was like a secret for many years as a kid, for taking me out to acting class. And that was really important. If I hadn't gotten that, who knows? You know, I may have become, you know, my first profession. I went to law school for a little bit. I might have just, you know, stuck out I had to go to law school to convince my father that I could become an actor. Because, you know, I had to prove to him that I was smart enough to get to law school, which I did.
mhm.
I only stayed for 2 weeks. And then, you know,
But you
after
got
that, I
in.
quickly got a Yeah, I got a scholarship and everything. And I was like, listen, you know, I got in. Only 1% or whatever gets in. It wasn't in America, it was here in Asia. I said, you know, only the brightest get in, and I got in. I even passed the, you know, the Q&A portion where they asked me a question about something, and I didn't actually really even know what I was talking about. I just used my acting skills and I just, you know, did my whole way through. I didn't even know what it was about. And I said, look, I got in, so you got to let me go do what I have to do. And I remember him saying to me back then, I think I was like 17. He said, 17 or 18. He said, no, he said, you're not going to go to the States. I said, it's a free ride. I got, you know, it's all covered. And I promise I won't ask you for any money. You know, I'd go take care of it. I'd be a waiter, whatever. He said, absolutely not. You know, you're not going to be an actor. And then I said the most, I think it saved my life, and it just came out. I wasn't planning to say it, but I said to him, I said, look, Dad, I called him Papa. Okay? We don't use Dad in Asia. I said, look, Papa, if you want me to become a lawyer, one of two things will happen. And he said, what is one of two things? Because he knew I had the flair for the dramatic, right? I said, I'd either become a drug addict or an alcoholic. And he goes, you know, and this was 17, I think 18, I said that to him. He said, why? Why would you become a drug addict or an alcoholic? We don't even have that in our family. You know, he's very scientific. He said, that doesn't even run enough, and we don't have the genes for that. I remember him saying that there's no way you're going to be that. And you come from a good family, and, you know, this is a zero tolerance society for drugs. So you're not going to be a drug addict. I don't know about alcohol, he goes, but, you know, because alcohol is allowed here, but you're not going to be a drug addict. And then I remember saying, Dad, if I have to tell lies every day for a living, or subvert the truth from what it really is into something else, which is what lawyers do, I said, I will become a drug addict or an alcoholic. And, you know, I think that actually made some sense, right? Because it's true, lawyers do kind of, you know, well, subvert maybe is not the right word, but they do, and twist wouldn't be a great word either. But, you know, the truth is depends on which angle you're looking at. It's Rashomon. You could be looking on the right and you could be seeing something, and then you could be looking in from the left and you see a completely different version in your head of what happened. That's the law. That's what lawyers argue, right? It's whenever there's reasonable doubt, right? So they take the truth and they try their best with it. I think I'm being very careful here in case I get lawyer hate from lawyers. So I'm using very careful words with all of this. So I think that kind of touch a nerve with him, because after he listened to that, he said, he looked at me, I think, for the longest time, because I think it made sense. Then he says, and then I remember him coming back and saying, don't you tell lies as an actress? Don't you, make believe? And I said, yeah, but I'm playing a character. It's not me. I'm playing somebody. And by the way, it's not lying. You wouldn't be a good actor. I remember even saying that at 17. I said, you wouldn't be a good actor if you're lying. It's the truth for us. It's an imaginary truth, but it is the truth at that time. So it's not lying. Then he looked at me. I think he realized that I'm taking this a little more serious than he ever thought. I had an answer for everything. It wasn't just like dressing up and, doing the acting, right? I actually had an answer for it. And he was a real scholar. So he was a Latin scholar as well as a doctor. So he looked at me and he was like, for the longest time, he was just staring to my eyes. And then I think he let me go. He said, okay, you can go. And, it was a big thing, for a little girl in Asia, go up. I didn't know anyone in Hollywood, big bad Hollywood. I was just going to go there. And I went there with one suitcase. And I remember before I left, he said to me, he said, here's my credit card. He had one credit card. He said, here's a co-credit card in case, you have to bail yourself out of anything. And I remember not taking it. It was an American Express. Back then, it was a really big deal, Amex, it was like gold card. It's like you have to be like a doctor to have a gold card, right? So he's like, here, I don't have much, but here's I want to cry when I think about it. My dad has since passed, but he said, here, to bail yourself out, in case somebody takes you somewhere, or a bad producer tries to rape you or whatever. He said that, take this card so you can buy your way out. And I remember shoving it back, and he says, no, I'll never get myself into that situation. Boy, was I wrong. It's not like I can prevent these things, right? All women have stories to tell when that's concerned, and I have plenty, but it's a subject for another day. And I remember putting the card back, giving her, and said, no, Dad, no, that never happened to me. Boy, was I wrong. But, that's when I knew he finally accepted me for who I, was going to become, or gave me his blessings. So that's, I remember that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I
had to
haven't
fight
even-
really hard to become an actor,
Yeah.
because nobody in my family except my crazy mother wanted, gave me her blessing. Everybody else was like, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Are you crazy?
And to just come over with one suitcase and
I
go
did,
for
literally. I still have that suitcase, by the way. It's all moth bitten, but I have it in my cupboard because it reminds me of how hard I had to fight to come here. And whenever I would get rejection, which I got plenty, 9 out of 10 times I was rejected, I'd look at that suitcase and I go, you know what? I had to overcome way more than that to get here. And if I could have, I convinced my dad, which was the hardest person to convince, I'm scot-free, I'm good, I needn't have to worry. Yeah, so that kept me very grounded. That kept me really grounded.
beautiful.
Yes.
I
It was a Samsonite. Can I say that? Samsonite. I need a sponsorship.
yeah,
but
there
it
you
was
go.
a
we'll take your
Samson-
sponsorship.
yeah, it was a Samsonite, and it was back then it cost an arm, because it was like one of those big suitcases, not even a hard shell. It was like a cloth, kind of a khaki looking thing. And I remember like feeling really badly that I bought it because it cost a lot of money back then. But I bought it, and from an acting job, I bought my own suitcase. But I remembered, I remember that suitcase, and I still have it. Yeah, it has all my old 8x10s, like pictures now. It's all doing that. It still has a purpose, though. Yeah. Samsonite, we need a sponsorship.
So what I'm hearing is that Samsonite is a high quality, long lasting.
Yes, you're indeed right, Amanda and Shannon. That is indeed right. And maybe the show can benefit from some Samsonite sponsorship, and so would Lydia. and General Hospital. Samsonite executives, take note.
We love whenever they do random. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to do it, but they do like really random product placement occasionally on the show. I mean, mostly it's because of like ABC products, but like there was one time that Chase was eating that Hulu Live cereal.
Oh my
And
gosh,
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
so
yeah, 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 yeah.
ridiculous.
like, okay, guys, come
Yeah.
on. Of all the characters, it should have been Spinelli eating it, not
Or one of the
Chase,
kids.
or one of the
Oh,
kids
yeah, that
eating
would have
it,
been
not
cool.
Chase. Yeah,
Yeah, that would have seemed more in character with Spinelli
Yeah,
because
right.
he's so quirky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly. Okay, so this outro is actually being recorded like weeks after we spoke with Lydia, but there was nothing to really trim down the 2-hour long
I mean, why would you want to?
conversation. So this is definitely going to be a two-parter. We kind of said at the beginning this might be, yeah, it definitely is, because she is just fascinating.
I really could talk to her for another 10 hours. I
Yeah.
did not want to end that interview that day.
No, well, she's already, wait, it might not be released yet, but I think at the end of part 2 is when she's like, I'll talk to you guys anytime.
Yes.
You girls anytime. And it's,
I think she'd still get annoyed if I like called her every day and was like, hey, I just want to talk to you.
but all right, so then this is also being recorded days after I edited, so I can't even remember which part, because I actually already edited both parts.
Ah.
So, but at one point we talk about her energy, and I forget which section that's in, but she is just amazing. So, I mean, I really hope that the sponsorship for Samsonite comes through, because I could use some new luggage,
Yes.
actually. I have a lot of traveling going on. You're not going to hear this in time for my first trip, but I'm traveling at the end of March and in April. And I will do more traveling if I have to.
I could go along with you if I had
Yes.
some nice new luggage.
Yes.
Do you want it filled with Yahoo cereal?
Hulu cereal.
Hulu cereal. Sorry.
Hulu cereal and banana runts.
No.
I don't even like them that much.
I'm telling you, you're testing our friendship again.
Oh, but yeah. So I don't want to give away too much. So
No, just listen next week for the rest of it.
yeah, next week will be part 2. It's just as enjoyable. And meet us back on Monday as we discuss this week's shows.
Have a good weekend.
And we'll meet you at the pier.
Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed today's show, we invite you to go to peer54podcast.com to subscribe on your favorite platform. Don't forget to leave us a review.
And you can also follow us on many social media channels. Just search for Peer 54 Podcast. Also, we are not perfect, so if there is something that we missed or messed up, just let us know by emailing us at peer54podcast@gmail.com.